Okay, we can do that. Let's let's talk about it. Private property. What's up, guys? It is the Bad Wolf. Wolf. We're going to be talking about private property. Why? Because a lot of people have been asking me about getting their property off of the property tax roll. Now, a lot of people in Minnesota already have been doing this. I was going to make this a big production, but because we already started off and gave away so much for free, I can't now really, with good conscience, then say, well, now I'm going to charge for the rest of it. Because I've talked about people doing that, and I don't like it when people do it to me. So I'm not going to do it to you guys. Let's get going. As always, guys, don't forget to hit that bell and subscribe. And once you do, well, you're renewing with the tribe. And if you haven't done it, then welcome to the tribe. All right. So if you haven't watched my other video, there's another video I've done on property and property taxes. So as always, before reaching out to me, go to my YouTube channel, scroll down to where it has the playlist, look in the playlist. If you don't see it there, then go to the far right that you can't see and click the search uh, bar and then type in property or property taxes and watch that video. So that's probably going to be number one to this video. This will be a follow-up. So people in the comment sections were asking about the follow-up. So let's do it. For this example, we're going to be using Wisconsin because I do own some property there. And actually, I operate between like 2 and 3 different locations because I don't like to always be in the same spot. Number one. Two, I inherited some family property, so I'm here, there, and everywhere. So, but for whatever state that you're in, okay, and for me, my home state is Arkansas. But like I said, I've got 2 or 3, but whatever. Um, use your state as reference. Now, some people are asking me if I have any documents on it. No, but I'm going to show you how to make your own. I'm not going to sell you a document that you guys can make. Now, other documents that I do sell is because those are unique documents. But almost all documents, almost, not all, you can use and create through Chat GPT. It doesn't do certain things like certain trusts and certain unique customized things to the private or common law. That's why I sell mine. But we're going to take a look at what I asked Chat GPT to do, okay, for one of my properties in Wisconsin. And we're going to cover how to make it move. All right. So understand that your property is considered situs, okay, which means property of the city, the state, because you registered it to the city or the county or the state, and that is a good for them, bad for you scenario. Your name is also listed as property owner, and that name is registered to the state. Well, you have voter rights. You are a resident, a resident. You resided from the Constitution and entered into the state's separate jurisdiction. Now, mind you, the state operates constitutionally as well. So they're under the Constitution, but they also do their normal business with their own jurisdiction of commerce. And the Constitution, and my was Constitution, okay, okay, don't quote me, but one of them states that anywhere where the state or a state operates as a corporation, it loses its sovereignty and becomes subject to be treated as a corporation, which is what the states are doing. That's why we say the states are corporations. They're like, no, we're not. But when you where you do business, you lose they're already not completely sovereign. They're operating under the government's control, but they have their own laws, yet or regulations. So they have constitutional law, but they also have regulations, which aren't part of constitutional law. So those are two separate bubbles. They can operate between either, just like the courts. But the courts are usually operating in maritime admiralty jurisdiction, which means that they're operating. This is going to sound weird, but they're operating privately. They're treating you as a private member of theirs that they call the public. All right, but anyway, enough of that. So this is the one I drafted up. So I've got one for Arkansas, I've got one for Wisconsin, I got one for Tennessee. All right, usually where you can find me in any of those places. All right, but in general, for this particular one, all right, I asked it. I said, draft up property for the state of Wisconsin, an affidavit of non-commercial tax-exempt private property. Non-commercial because when you registered your house, they assumed you were going to be doing commercial things, and you're not. So you're being taxed on your property when you should not be. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't adjust how much you are paying with them with the proper paperwork. I don't remember Wisconsin's file, but every state has a document from the property assessor's website or office titled property tax or property tax exemption form. Ask for it. But while you're getting that form, you also want to be getting I would recommend a irrevocable trust. Normally a trust is going to be $1,000 or 2,500, somewhere near its average. So it's not a bad price to pay. However, here at Badwolf Unincorporated, you can get the revocable, irrevocable, and business trust, which are all that you need for most of your private stuff, on my website, blacksite32.com or jameslovett.com or badwolfunincorporated.com. All three, I think, are, I don't know, on the, what is it? What page is it? The on the website on the file shop. So go to the website, hit the file shop, and you can get all three for less than that easily. And it's in Word format, which means you can change it, you can edit, you can make multiple ones, you can resell it, you can make private trust for other people and make money off of them. So we have to dispel the mistitling of our property, get it out of our ownership and into something private. The name of the trust should be something also considered private or not found in their system. You can still be the trustor and the trustee and find anybody as the beneficiary. If you have nobody, you can always name me. Or no, oh, for real, you actually could. But your beneficiary could be your dog, your cat, a bank, a favorite charity. It just means that when you pass away, who would you want to give this to? Now, this little piece of information is why some religions don't like the Templars or Masons, because those families, instead of leaving their stuff to the church, which was normal, started leaving stuff to the craft. This is why the state jumped in and said, hey, well, we can be your beneficiary if you register your property to us. We'll take care of your estate. And if you don't have anybody, then we'll keep it. And then we'll resell it. Yay, isn't that awesome of us? Because if you pass away and you don't have a trust or anything set up, they're going to say, well, it's in our area, so we'll take care of it. We're sure that, Bob Smith here wanted us to do that. Nobody came forward after 7 years. It's our stuff now. Look up the Cesta KV Trust Act of 1666. I think it's a spelled, what is it? CESTQUEVIETRUST. CEST2K Trust. 1666. You'll find that reading interesting. But all right, let's get going. So I told it to draft it up. Let's see what it has to say.
Your full legal name, a living man/woman, being of sound mind and lawful age, declare under penalty of perjury that the following statements are true, correct, and complete to the best of my knowledge and belief. A declaration of private property status. The subject property, located at property address, is not held for commercial purposes, public use, or any activity subject to taxation, but is owned and operated privately by an unincorporated association and held in a private religious irrevocable trust.
Which is what we sell here. So what did we just talk about? So now unincorporated means non-federal, non-state. Association, group of people or persons. It's held in private. You've never said any of this to them before. You didn't have it in a trust. Your name has been tainted, so it's not private. It's considered public. It's on the public side. Your name in all capitalized letters with the state is held in trust in public. Subject to taxation because you told them it was. You hoard your name out. You don't need to do a million processes out here. You just need to know who you are and how to move forward with your stuff and put them in the private. That's it. You don't have to do 1,800 cajillion, affidavits to everywhere. Those are good. I'm not saying you can't, but having those affidavits ready to go when challenged is the key thing here. Let's keep going.
Trust. The property is not subject to ad valorem taxation as it does.
Ad valorem taxation, public taxation. It never should have been. You can always make a donation. You can always adjust how much you pay. Let me all sitting back on, oh, baby, I got my what do you guys even call it? Head of the household or what is it called? You get your little discount on your property taxes or whatever. Well, yeah, you shouldn't have been paying anything at all. You should have been keeping that money. People go, it's not right that we're being taxed. You're being taxed because it's under their jurisdiction.
Does not fall under any classification of taxable property under federal or state law. This property was granted under a land patent issued by the United States government, establishing a lodial title before taxation statutes existed, thereby removing it from state taxation authority.
Oh, yeah. Take that, take that, take that, take that. The reason why mine says that is because I just pulled it for this one. I have to pull it for the other properties, which are expensive to maintain. Okay, which is why I sold one of my other ones. All right. Bam! From the Bureau of Land Management, a certified copy of the original land patent. Now, one of the things I liked is that when I've seen somebody create their property sign like I have, but they put on their land patent number and they put their land patent number on there. I may have to update my sign because I really like that. Enforces the fact that it's private. With this land patent, now, mind you, the city, the state, and all the rest of them, they don't like that. They don't want you to know about it. Because the land patents were issued, which is also why you can get a hold of Ron Gibson for a land patent. And on Black Site 32, I think I have a resource page or whatever else where there's two people that I go by for land patents. One is statenationalhelp.com. I think it's /Badwolf. And then there's Ron Gibson. They're both mentioned on there. The one guy, State National Help, he he interned under Ron Gibson. So they're both good. They both do a good job. Ron's slowing down a little bit in his work, but he still does it. And the other guy claims that he can do some things that Ron can't, which usually involves helping out people on the East Coast. If you mention me to either of them, they will look out for you. They may reduce some of the pricing, but go through my website and then you can talk to them from there. My website has a special link for those people who want to use State National Help. It's already discounted. Ron may, he does not have to, but he will usually adjust the price accordingly for certain people's. Okay. Um, a land patent is another way of doing what we're talking about here. But the states and counties do not like it, and State National and Ron are really good at doing it and submitting it. It'll probably cost you about 1,000 or a little bit more because of the work. You have to have a perfected chain of title when doing it and submit it the proper way, or they're going to reject it and try to come after you to try to deter you from doing it again. My method, which is plain and simple, okay, I'm not knocking there. I'm just saying it's an alternative way. I think it's a little easier, but it does give the baby their bottle. And I don't really like to do that with these guys. I really don't. But it is what it is. There's more than one way to skin a cat. No offense to any cats. No cats were hurt in this process, and any cats that I may have beat up, never, not feline cats. Anyway, so understand that they do not like it. But what do we do here? So it's getting okay. This, which is the property tax exemption for that particular state. And once you have that, you can do what's known as reverse engineering. That's where you get the document and then you look to where they say, please identify the use of this property. And then you're going to go through and look at all the different types of properties that qualify to be tax exempt. And on this one, out of the 20 that are here, I chose religious because my trust is religious. Levitica National Government is also religious. They also have the word on here, other, and please use this box and tell us why you feel it is. Now, the first year I did, that's what I did. And I did not, my own mistake, put irrevocable on there, nor religious trust. Just put trust. I skipped it. Sometimes I miss things. Not perfect. Anybody who's giving you information does not 100% know all of the law or is perfect. So it's funny when other people want to bust other people for not being perfect. And then most of them don't want to admit their mistakes. I admit my mistakes. So I then realized the mistake and I put down religious on here. All right. Now, on the top here, it says applicant's name. One of the areas where you could technically say I messed up last year is I used my name as a U.S. citizen, James C. I don't think I should have done that. Even though I am the one who's applying, but it shouldn't be me who's applying. So it says applicant name, and then it says applicant is. I should have been using what I have now on here is the name of the trust. It's applying. It's a religious trust. Get it? Now, in my packet, which will probably be different than yours, I added some additional things. I put in IRS form W slash or dash 8EXPY. I'm not going to cover all of these now. If you want to do them, you can. They're optional. You may not have to do as much. That particular state's easy. Other states I've done, easy peasy. But Wisconsin, not so much. The other ones I've done the properties for, smooth as silk. Even California, you'd think they'd be the worst one. No, not really. We've been doing this in the background for a long time now, which is why I have experience with other states. So I also use the 990-EZ. I also have my notice of trust in here. I also have a SSA form 1458, certification by religious group. I have a copy of my land patent. Oh, not even a copy, a certified copy. And then I've got the trust itself, but not the guts of the trust. This is the acknowledgement. They don't need to know what's going on in my trust, just the first page and last page. Everything notarized, and then I included in here what a 508c1a is, okay, faith-based organization. All right. And I've got the fact that my government is held by considered a religious government in private. It's more than enough. But a lot of those documents are going to have on there that you need to provide all these things. If they don't say specifically need all of these, put as much as you can in there. And also note that it does not say I have to give you all of these, because they'll tell you to, if you read their document, it'll look like you have to provide like 80 different documents. They'll say, please provide the following. They just mean the following that applies, not every single one of those things. They want you to overcomplicate it and mess it up. So short and sweet. Key things, let's get moving.
Authority. 2. Legal basis for tax-exempt status. Constitutional protections. The Wisconsin Constitution, Article 1.
Now remember, when you set yours up, and I'm doing this for another state, okay? And sometimes I do these for other people, but this specific one is for Wisconsin. Okay, that's one of the ones I'm working on. So it's going to have some information for that. Because when I typed it up, I said, please do it for this state. In my other one, it says the Arkansas Constitution, the California Constitution, the Tennessee Constitution. Okay? So make sure that when you do yours, you do it accordingly for your particular state or whatever state you're working on or wherever you got property.
Article 1.
Or if you're like me, for certain people, I'll do it all up, okay, and charge them for this whole process. But you can do your own, all right? I'm just giving people ideas. If you want to open up your own business, have ChatGPT type up the form for whatever state they're in, like I'm doing here. And then you do the other steps for them. All right. So I will have a video version of this where I identify other key things that should be in place. But this is probably like 95, 98% of everything that you need to know to be generally successful in what you're doing. Okay. All right, let's keep going.
Article 1, Section 1, guarantees the inalienable rights of private property ownership. Article 1, Section 12 of the Wisconsin Constitution prohibits laws impairing the obligation of contracts, which includes my land patent and trust agreements that remove this property from taxation. Under the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, no state may pass a law impairing the obligation of contracts, including those established via land patents and private trusts. The 5th and 14th Amendments prohibit the taking of private property for public use without just compensation. Taxation of private property for public purposes without consent constitutes an unconstitutional taking. B. Federal and state statutory law. Pursuant to 42 U.S.C. Section 1982, all citizens of the United States shall have the same right, in every state and territory, as is enjoyed by white citizens thereof to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, and convey real and personal property. Taxation of private property held in an irrevocable trust infringes upon this right. The land patent granted by the United States government for this land supersedes any state claims of taxation, as per United States v. Midwest Oil Company, 236 U.S. 459, 1915, which held that land patents are the highest evidence of title and are not subject to later state taxation unless consented to by the owner.
Oh, yeah. Now, here's the thing. If they want to get crazier with the cheese whiz on you, you're not going to threaten, but you're going to, if you put all this information in here and they decide to deny your claim, it's a federal lawsuit. And if you're going to sue them, then sue them for all of the money you've ever paid into that property. Get it all back. Plus extra. Pain, hardship, embarrassment, denial of rights as a national, constitutional violation, all that. Throw all that in there and get paid. Seems like the only way that some of these people are going to understand is if we start hitting their pocketbooks. Because you can't do anything physically, that's being a belligerent or combatant. You're then a monster and deemed an enemy. And then they make more money off of you. What, you want to damage their property? No, we don't consent to that here. And they've got insurance over it anyway. But hit their pocketbooks properly if they want to deny you of your rights, freedoms, and liberties. Let's go.
Owner. The federal land patent issued for this land is a contract protected by the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, meaning the state cannot impair or alter it through taxation. Under Wisconsin statutes Section 70.11, certain properties held for religious, charitable, or educational purposes are exempt from taxation.
Okay, not all states have the same thing. Okay, it's a little different when I did the Arkansas one and whatever in the Tennessee, California. But if they may, I mean, all of them, almost all of them have to have religious and charitable and educational. So you don't even have to create a religious trust, maybe create an educational one or charitable. Work with what you got. But generally, they all should have some form of one of these.
Taxation. This property, held in a private religious irrevocable trust, qualifies under this statute. See Supreme Court precedents. In Hale v. Henkel, 201 U.S. 43, 1906, the U.S. Supreme Court affirmed that a private individual is not obligated to disclose personal property holdings or subject them to governmental authority absent a legal duty. Van Brocklin v. Tennessee, 117 U.S. 151, 1886, established that property once granted under federal land patents is not subject to state taxation unless explicitly consented to by the owner. Crandall v. Nevada, 73 U.S. 35, 1867, ruled that a state cannot impose a tax that interferes with fundamental constitutional rights, including private property rights.
So understand that when you see these Supreme Court precedences, which means opinions, which means court cases, which means they've been adjudicated or judged, these are law. This is law. This is constitutional law. You can use any one of these rulings, but understand this, the state doesn't have to necessarily operate by these laws, but they have to respect them. Meaning, if you use these and tell them, they understand that if they fight you in court over it, they've already lost. That's constitutional law, common law. State law will say, well, if you you see the state law, they can't, none of them can say you have to register your property. But if you do register it, gotcha, bitch. And then they will never, almost never delete your name. And that's how they wrangle you and keep you inside the corral. By transferring your property out of your name into the entity's name, it's now private. What, you have to update the proper property tax assessor's office. They still want you to play their game. The land patent is supposed to bypass and destroy all of this, and it does. But but I'll tell you this: I would prefer a professional to do my land patent, which both of them have said they would for me. I'm doing this one this way, but in some states it might be easier to do the land patent. So you have to decide which way you want to do. This one is easier to do for yourself. The land patent you'll have to pay for if you want it done right, because you have to have a clean and clear title, chain of title. If there's any pieces of it missing, they can say, oh, if it's imperfected, you can't show a clear title all the way from the original owner, the original land patent ceded to the states, all the way down to you, which is what's going on with this particular property that I own. The other ones were easy. Not that many people owned it. It's pretty clear. This one is different. So, though I'm doing it this way, my way, and giving the baby their bottle, I can have State National Help or Ron Gibson do it. So my choices, should they try to reject this one, I can either sue them or attempt to have one of the two land patent people do it. And then should those not work, then once again, sue them. It all comes back to the lawsuit. But you want to make sure your information is right, not just some gobbledygook. All right, let's go.
United States versus Lee, 106 U.S. 196, 1882, held that the government cannot assert taxation jurisdiction over private land held outside public commerce.
So all that whole thing is, oh, you can never own your own land. You're always leasing from the government, which is basically kind of true. Your only recourse is if you get your land patent. Now, do you need a land patent like I have, the land patent document to do this? No, but it's adding extra gumption to the process. Makes them have bubble gut, as my guy would say. They're going to be all bubbly when they look at this, and not in the good way.
Commerce.
I'm already not worried about it because I have everything done right this time. And it's held in a religious trust, and I'm giving them proof of that. I just have to wait for my notary, who's sick right now, to not be sick. So get well, Kelly. Let's keep going.
Commerce. 3. Private trust and non-situs designation.
Non-situs is really non-situs. Situs means city owned.
Designation.
That's why they call you a citizen. Sit us, sit U.S., situs, citizen. You see it? Do you hear it?
Designation. The property is held by a private religious irrevocable trust, which is outside the jurisdiction of state taxation, as confirmed in Blair v. Commissioner, 300 U.S. 5, 1937. The trust is not a statutory entity but rather an ecclesiastical, non-statutory entity exempt from governmental intrusion under 42 U.S.C. Section 2000 BB1, Religious Freedom Restoration Act. The property has been designated non-situs and non-commercial, meaning it has no legal attachment to public commerce or municipal taxation. 4. Demand for tax exemption recognition. Based on the foregoing
Now, a lot of people say you should stand on your square and demand. All right. I would recommend saying request. You can go in there with your balls out if you want and say, I demand. I would just say request. Doesn't mean you're weak, but you also don't want to try to irk them. You're already pissing them off. So don't irk them because they'll try to find ways to hold it up. This needs to go under review. They'll drag their feet. So when I redo this, I will remove this word and, go forward.
constitutional provisions, federal and state laws, and legal precedents, I formally assert and demand that this property be classified as tax exempt from all property tax assessments. Any attempt to assess property taxes on this land will constitute an unconstitutional taking, violating my rights under state and federal law, and will be met with full legal recourse.
Now, this also here sounds like a light threat, and it is. So I would say, and potentially may result in legal recourse. Okay, you want to soften the tone a little bit. This is how a lawyer would draft it up. There's nothing wrong with how this is written. I would just go in there a little easier because you already won. And you don't want to go in there with you don't want to make demands. I've always was told this. Never make demands when it comes to dealing with them because they'll take it personal and they will play games. Things most of you guys haven't even thought about. I'm not saying go in there with brownies and kiss their AZZ, but just be easy. This is business. Don't make it personal. Don't make it a grudge or anything like that. Just do what it takes to get the job done. That's all you got to do. So to recap, create a trust, make sure your trust is done correctly as a private, faith-based, or educational or charitable type, irrevocable. We do sell the irrevocable. All you have to do is add the keywords into there. Make sure you don't have things like zip codes in there. Name the trust something foreign. Get it notarized. Make multiple copies. I would recommend an irrevocable. You can do and move how you want. You get the property tax assessors, property tax exemption form. Fill that out appropriately. Have ChatGPT draft all of it up. Use the correct state. You can tell it just what you've seen here. Tell it to include federal, state, constitution, private, law. You have a land patent and include that in your terminology. On the bottom of the affidavit, I would have the ChatGPT include a jure section versus an acknowledgement. If you want, you can also put your particular seals on it. I actually now have my own nation, my own government's raised seal stamp. I've got my ink stamper as well. That's if you have it. If not, you don't need it. It's totally optional. And that's about it, guys. That's it. If you are having problems with your terminology or with your particular state or getting the form or what to put in there, or you want me to review it, hit me up for a consultation and we'll go through those particular things. Otherwise, I've given you guys like 95 to 98% of everything that you need to be successful. Anything else is a little modifications depending on your state, circumstances, because there are weird things like the jurisdiction between the Land Management Bureau on the East Coast, West Coast, especially for the land patent. But in general, you should be able to get that. If there's not one, you don't have to have it. But you might want to reference it. So there might be some small things in there where we might need to do a custom job. But the land patent itself, those I gave you the gist of it. Um, let's see here. You can get the land patent book like this and one of Ron Gibson's other ones, private property tax information, what you need to know to protect your rights. I do not sell these, but you can get yours. And I mean, there's lots of good information on the power of the land patent. He's done fantastic work on this book. Although I will say, Ron, you should have your website and information, contact information in the book. I know you watched some of these. Let's double check. Make sure it's not already in here. I'm talking too fast. All right, no, I don't see it in the beginning or the back. Yeah, let me just double check the last couple pages. Yeah, I don't see it in here. So that'd be my only advice to change that up for Ron. Um, so there's that one. Like I said, I do not sell these, but I do have a link to contact and reach Ron on Black Site 32. I think it's on the resource page under land patent or whatever else. Should be his name, email, and contact number, all that good jazz. Tell him the Badwolf sent you. And the information in here is it's fire. I mean, he's got all the codes listed down as to what their potential, we'll just say they're the business that they're doing. Why, when, and he actually has an affidavit in here. Notice of dispute. So this would be good to use with your own affidavit, some of the information out of here, and especially if you have to sue them in court. This is a slam dunk. They are done. You can get all your money back. And even if you don't want to do all of this, you could still use this information to sue them to get all your money back if that's how if you so see fit. I may go through some of the sections in here and do a video on this, but I will not do it verbatim as a respect for Ron and because this is his material. I may have him on the show if he's up to it and so decides to talk about this particular book. But he's got two. All right, he's got the land patent and the private property tax information. So either one is going to be good for what you're doing. I don't know where my land patent book is because I am a nerd and I have too many books. Okay. And in being a nerd, nerds usually have a system. So this is the other book that Ron provides, the land patents, right? And it talks about why they're allodial, how to do the actual land patents yourself, how to do the chain of title. He has it really all in here. All right. So this is a fire book. Summary of chain of title. He's got it all here. Um, everything you need, once again, to file a lawsuit. If they won't let you make your house private, or you want to make do a land patent and submit it, it's all right here. Or you can have him do it for, I don't know what he's charging right now. Last I think was, don't quote me, roughly $1,000. Mention me, he may take off a discount. All right. Once again, the reason why I am as privy to this is because I talk to or read the books of these professionals. All right. Other than the passport process, almost none of it was just me completely doing it all 100% myself. So shot and credit goes out to all the people out there. Um, the Lighthouse, Jackie Fig, Ron Gibson, Colonel Von Wilson of Copper Moonshine Stills, Sedum, TJ Sovereign Living, uh, and shot goes out to all my other people out there fighting the good fights. Mr. Hunt and what do we got? I can't think of some other people's names. But anyway, they may not want all their names put out there anyway. But shot goes out to you guys out there. Keep fighting a good fight. And just know that there is remedy, but it may take time. Okay. So that is it, guys. I am done with the videos, I think, for the day. And I will talk to you guys later. So thank you for watching. If you guys need me, you know how to contact me. blacksite32.com, jameslovett.com, Badwolf Unincorporated.com. I'll talk to you guys later. And thank you for supporting, as always.